This past year has been a surprising one in Canadian politics, with some shocking resignations, nail-biting elections, diplomatic spats, policy reversals, and now the threat of a looming trade war. For a recap of this year's top political stories and a look ahead to 2025, we are joined by the Globe and Mail's Laura Stone. Laura, good to see you.
Great to see you.
Okay, so let's start. This has been a tumultuous year for the Prime Minister, especially. In June, the Conservatives upset the Liberals in that Toronto riding they've held for decades.
These are not easy times, and it's clear that I and my entire Liberal team have much more work to do.
Yeah, a lot of work to do. In September, the NDP ended its supply and confidence agreement. Justin Trudeau then faced calls for from his own caucus to step down. And then this month, of course, Chrystia Freeland added her name to the list of 9 cabinet ministers calling it quits in 2024. Whew, Laura. How did the Liberal Party get here?
Look, I mean, I called this Trudeau's struggle. This might be more so Trudeau's demise at this point. It's been a long time coming, but everything is happening so quickly right now, right? I mean, the Liberals have struggled in the polls for more than a year now, and it really kind of centered on the housing and affordability debates. We've had the Conservatives calling for a quote-unquote carbon tax election now for quite some time. But I think how this has really peaked is the calls within the Liberal Party for Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to resign, right? We had, of course, the bombshell resignation, as you mentioned, of Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland, who was really critical of the government's policies, the gimmicks, quote unquote, that she called them. And that has really set off a really rapid chain of events here where you have multiple members of caucus saying Mr. Trudeau has to be replaced in order to essentially save the Liberal Party. That's the big question now. We're waiting to hear from Mr. Trudeau. He's taking time to reflect. He's on a family vacation right now till the end of the week. What is he going to do? Is he going to try to hang on and lead the party into the next election? Is he going to take over some sort of caretaker role to deal with Donald Trump in the new year? And are we going to see a new Liberal leader when the next election happens in 2025.
All right, time will tell on that one. Let's talk elections, because 4 provinces went to the polls this year. Busy year. The NDP were narrowly re-elected in BC. New Brunswick flipped to the Liberals. Conservative Premier Scott Moe and Tim Houston won again in Saskatchewan and Nova Scotia. What message should Ottawa take away from these results?
Look, I think this was a cautionary tale for incumbents. We saw at least 3 of those governments at least come close to lose support. And in the case of New Brunswick, Premier Blaine Higgs lost and resigned. And so, look, I think voters are sending a clear message kind of discontent with the government in office. Probably not great news for Mr. Trudeau, who's already been struggling. And so, you know, it's a cautionary tale, too, for provinces like Ontario, where we have Premier Doug Ford potentially weighing whether to call an early election. Are voters going to like that? They've kind of voted on the issues of, you know, affordability, things like that, and they voted against those in power. Some of them did hang on, but they certainly lost support in 2 of the big provinces that we saw in those provincial elections.
Another big storyline this year, foreign interference in 2024. The public inquiry's first report called Meddling by China, a quote, stain on our elections. In October, 6 Indian diplomats were kicked out of the country for their alleged involvement in serious criminal activity. So this final report on foreign interference on the inquiry was supposed to be released today, but it has been delayed now until January. What could be in this report?
Well, look, I mean, Justice Mary Hogue has been taking testimony from public officials, including the Prime Minister, and she's going to make a series of recommendations on how governments can combat foreign interference. And this isn't just one party dealing with it, right? We've heard of allegations happening in the Conservative Party leadership race as well. There's been a lot of controversy around the fact that Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre won't take the foreign interference briefing for the security briefing. Right. He says he doesn't want his hands to be tied. So we're looking to hear on how Canada can combat that. But there's certainly been very frosty relations this year between Canada and India over those very serious allegations of criminal activity by the government of India, which the government has denied. But, you know, as Canada looks to kind of diversify its trade relationship from other countries, India now is kind of in the crosshairs of the Canada relationship.
We have to talk immigration, because one of the top stories of the year has also been the Liberal policy reversal on immigration. Take a look.
Looking back, when the post-pandemic boom cooled and businesses no longer needed the additional labor help, as a federal team, we could have acted quicker and turned off the taps faster.
Right? So that was Prime Minister Justin Trudeau last month, which was, I mean, a stark contrast to 2017. You remember his famous Welcome to Canada post, encouraging newcomers to come to Canada. How did the feds go from, you know, green light to red light Is it yellow light? Where are we at?
It's a complete shift, Lindsay. This is a complete change from the government's previous policy. I think where this is coming from is, quite frankly, polling that shows that there's a lot of concern within Canada of immigration being tied to housing and affordability, not having enough homes for people to live in, the skyrocketing cost of living. And so we've seen the government really try to shift the narrative here on immigration. They're curbing international students, cutting immigration numbers for the first time in years. So, this is all coming in the context of President Donald Trump coming in, telling Canada to tighten up its borders, threatening those tariffs. And so this is kind of one of the starkest changes that we've seen in government policy. I guess the big question is it too little, too late for the Trudeau government on this issue?
All right, so much happened this year and so much is to come in 2025. Laura Stone, thanks for being here and thanks for the whole year reporting. Really
Thanks
great.
so much.
Happy New Year.
You too. Happy New Year.
If you liked that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.